Welcome to Elected, a podcast for women in and around politics. I'm your host, Sarah Elder Chaminara, and this week our guest is Arielle Kayabaga, Ward 13 councillor in London, Ontario. In the spirit of reconciliation, I'd like to acknowledge that I live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. Today's guest on Elected is Arielle Kayabaga. Arielle has a very interesting story, and I really can't wait to start our conversation today because she is one that you are going to know about her in Canadian politics. Arielle is originally from the country of Burundi. She left with her family in the midst of a civil war. After arriving in Canada, Arielle faced many of the challenges inherent in most new Canadian stories: insecure housing, precarious employment, unfamiliar systems to navigate. She became a champion for newcomers and for other residents of London, Ontario. And in 2018, she was elected as the Ward 13 councillor, and she became the first Black woman to serve in London, Ontario. Arielle is currently seeking the nomination to be the Liberal Party of Canada's candidate in the riding of London West, the riding currently held by MP Kate West, who has announced she is not running again. Balancing her roles as a single mother, a city councillor, a community activist, a passionate city builder, Arielle's story is one of breaking barriers and overcoming adversity and defying expectations. Arielle, welcome to Elected. I'm so incredibly grateful that you said yes to being a part of today's podcast. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. I'm very excited to sit down and have a very casual conversation with you as I enjoy my, what are they called? Chia seed pudding.
Oh, that is very healthy of you.
Yes, I'm trying to fight COVID weight. So This is one day at a time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are two categories of people right now during COVID: those who have been able to exercise and really get into the groove of a more healthy lifestyle. And then there's another group which are more couch oriented, which I would fall into 100%.
Fall in that one too. I fall in the couch one as well, but I realize I can't fit in any of my clothes. And I'm just not prepared to, expend. And so I'm just trying to fight off this COVID weight. It's been a lot. And when you actually realize in the span of 2 years how much weight how much weight I've put on, I'm like, oh my God, I'm right back to how much weight I gained when I had a baby. And I feel I'm judging myself. So I'm trying to encourage myself to consciously realize that I'm confined within walls of the house and I need to make better decisions for myself. But as my son would say it, he calls it that my mom is going after her summer body, and he's like, summer body, she's viciously for you. So that's part of my little chia seed plan that I have.
I'm trying to, I can really relate because having also had children and been pregnant, and obviously your body changes a lot. COVID has brought me back to a place where I actually sometimes wake up in the morning and I really have to fight the negative voices in my head because they are
loud,
really strong. And so
I think a lot of women can relate to that. We normally deal with a lot of standards that the world has put on us, what we're supposed to look like, how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to behave, how we're supposed to talk. And then, we go through, our bodies obviously change from even every decade. Our body takes a different form. And then imagine when you have, children and your body's completely different and you have to learn how to live with that body. And then COVID, right? But one of the things that I think I can appreciate in this time is that it's not just me, it's everybody, right?
Yeah,
It's not just
we're all in it together.
exactly. We've all gained weight. It's not just going to be me that's gained weight. It's all of us have gained weight.
Yeah.
And except for, the 1% of people who are working out every day.
Yes.
But the good thing is that everybody's approaching this weight gain in a very positive way, and we're all learning to be really kind to our minds and our bodies. And I think that's actually what we should be continuing to take forward from this whole
Mm,
COVID experience. Let's prioritize our health in every aspect, especially being kind to our bodies and the thoughts and the words that we often think about what our
100.
body do
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very, very true. And also to put it into a political context, I mean, we're at home right now all of the time, but when life is, pre-COVID life, and hopefully what life gets back to in a post-COVID world is your days are packed with meetings. For you, it would be council meetings, but like other meetings, stakeholder meetings, community meetings, different events. Um, and that can be like kind of the opposite, like go, 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 but you're also maybe not taking care of yourself like it's something in politics that there's no one puts an emphasis on your mental and physical well-being in politics, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody does, because I think people think we're machines.
Yes.
And I I'm one of those people who actually like to overwork myself, but I'm learning that that's a bad habit. I'm learning that it has been like a, a I want to say a crutch that I've used my entire life to feel, I guess, good about myself, or to feel productive, or to feel like you're not stuck. When you feel like
Mm-hmm.
you haven't figured everything out in your life, and you're still trying to put ducks in a row, and being busy sort of makes you feel like you're doing that, but you're really not. And politics comes with that on, like, all the time. Like, you have to be on all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And I actually, ever since I've been elected, I learned more about myself than I did before, because I learned that I used to think I was an on person all the time, but I also learned that no, I actually need some off. A lot of times I need the switch off, where you just completely switch off and you can, rejuvenate and get that energy back. It is a lot of work for sure, but you have to find the balance. And also for the people who work for you, for your
Mm-hmm.
staff, and make sure that you don't burn them out, because once they're burnt out, then you're stuck, trying to figure out how to replace people. And it really does set, the work back. But I also think that now people are going to see it in a context where they're burnt out as well, right? Like, everybody who's working from home, the pandemic has burnt out a lot of people, and now they're going to understand. And I get that. Like, I get people who call me and they constantly apologize, especially when they call me at a later time, which never happened before. Like, people used to call me on Sunday at 10 p.m. and
Mm.
I would still pick up. But now when someone calls me at a certain time, like, the first thing they say is, "I'm so sorry I'm calling late. I know you're busy and I know you must be, tired." I'm like, see, that would not have been there if they didn't experience the same burnout that I'm experiencing
Oh, yeah.
with everyone during
That's a
COVID.
very
So
good way to put
really,
it.
really cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think some type of compassion, some type of understanding is being felt right now during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be carried through as we move forward, because at the end of the day, every single person, whether it be doctors, whether it be nurses, whether it be, our cashiers who work at the grocery store, or our politicians, every single person who's, doing a service to or are in public life to serve the community, they're as human as you are, and they have the same capacities and limitations as you have.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute we connect them, we a lot of times we tend to disconnect the politicians from the human being,
Right.
but it's important that we connect the humanity to the profession, because we're humans. I'm
I
a person just like everyone, and I think that's what I've done in my work as an elected official, is really show how it's you and I, like, it's regular folk like you and
Yeah.
I, right, who are in
Yeah.
this job. Yeah.
Yeah, no. This conversation has already been unexpected and so lovely. Because I think this is, talking about fitness and mental health. And so when I worked in politics as a staffer, I would go to the gym, not on like sitting days, obviously, because unless it was before work at like a 5:30 class or a 5 a.m. class. But on non-sitting days when the house wasn't in session, I would go to the gym. And I always felt very self-conscious about going out, even though it was like during a lunch hour.
Mhm.
And because it's more often the appearance of how hard you work versus how hard you actually work.
Absolutely.
And so someone who's, stays at the office for, however many tens of hours, but doesn't actually accomplish anything is seen often to be like working harder. And then someone who leaves to go and take care of themselves or do something, especially, I mean, I didn't have kids when I worked in politics.
Mhm.
It's seen as, oh, they're not really working as hard. They're not contributing as much. They're not doing their jobs as well as they could be, which is completely backwards. They're actually doing their jobs better because they're taking care of
Mhm.
themselves.
Mhm.
So hopefully that you're right, that hopefully that carries over into a post-COVID world.
But I want to add on a little tiny thing before we move on from this
Mm.
beautiful aspect of the conversation. I read a post. I'm part of like this group called the Black Moms group on Facebook. And I joined it just to, as a Black mom, wanted to have, parents who have similar stories. And they're all mostly Canadians. There are Americans in the group as well, but most of the women in the group are in the Canadian world. And we've had a lot of United States moms who have crossed over to Canada. But I saw a mom who posted something about wanting to get help, like hiring help for
Mm.
herself. And she was trying to get her opinion on whether or not she should get help. And she asked her friends, and everyone around her just felt like she was being lazy. And she was just wondering if it was okay for her to get help. And I just thought, wow, we put so many limitations for ourselves because we we really focus on what it looks like outside and not what it feels
Mm-hmm.
like inside. Um, I didn't comment because I don't often comment on the post, but in my heart, I was like, I hope she gets the help because
Yeah.
she recognizes that she needs help. Like, get the help, and if you're in a position where you can get the help, like get the
Mm-hmm.
help because it's it's important to not focus so much on what it's going to look like on the outside and be real because that's what makes us us. That's what makes us a community is when we get to a place where we know, understand, and embrace the fact that I can't exist if you don't exist, I can't do everything by myself because I need you and I need the people around me, is when we actually become stronger human beings. But when we are in our own little bubble of I can get this done by myself and then the burnout begins, that's
Yeah.
when we're the weakest link, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that is partially why on my resume a few months ago I added mom on LinkedIn because like the burnout is real and like managing COVID as a mom and as a woman and as a business person and just a human. Yeah, asking for help when you need it and if you can get it is really, I'm very sorry that that woman had people telling her that like she shouldn't do it because she might be really struggling and that's
Mhm.
not fair like to her and to her family and but most especially her. So that's really sad. You should go back and find that
Yeah,
post and be like, I hope you got what you needed.
I was sending that vibe to her. I was like, I'm sending the energy to her that she can rest and she can receive the help that she needs and feel that she deserves the help that
Yeah.
she needs because she's asking for it. And she
Yeah.
is in a place where she's able to emotionally recognize that she needs the help. So, and then now we have a mom who's going to be stronger because she recognized that she needs help and she
Yeah.
went out and looked for help. Otherwise, we're burning ourselves out. And like you said, mom is one of the biggest jobs that, you know, um, a woman holds. It's a very tough job, right? And
Yeah.
I think we minimize because it's just a mom. It's just the thing that we're supposed to do if you're a mom. And it's like it's your responsibility to be a mom when you make the choice to be a mom. And yeah, but it's still caring for yourself is hard. Caring
Mm-hmm.
for yourself and caring for other humans is hard. I can
And
say that for me, it's been hard, and I'm loving it. And I've always loved being a mom, and I love how much it challenges me to grow, but it's a very tough job.
and your son is 12. And when you
He's
first
gonna be
ran,
12 this summer. Yeah,
yeah, and when you first ran, you said he was 8 turning
he's
9.
8. Yes,
So he's a
yeah,
totally different human child from 8 to 12.
completely, completely. Like we're dealing with, you know, body changes. We're dealing with. He's not the same kid anymore. He's just not. No, and now I'm like adjusting to learning who this new human being is. He's kind of like he went from being this really bubbly out there, kid to like that's a lot. Everything is a lot right now. So
Mm.
we're at that stage where that's a lot. You're doing the most, and
I feel like you need to
he
get,
just wants to sleep.
we need to talk because I have a 2 year old and a 3 year old, and I feel like you can give me some great insights as to what to expect in the coming years as I navigate 2 boys. But yeah, yeah, we have so many things that we can talk
Enjoy them
about.
now. Enjoy
I
all the
know.
cuddles
Yeah, the
and all the
cuddles.
hugs you can get, all the kisses, because it goes away. It'll get to a place where nowadays I trick him when I really want to hug or just want to
You
see
have to
him.
trick him.
Um, I I take things from him, like I'll take his phone or a computer and just keep it in my room or somewhere I'm at all the time, so that when he needs it, he has to see me and we have to interact. We have to be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know.
Mm,
Otherwise he can spend hours without wondering like what's up with my mom. And I don't want to be that mom who constantly nags about it, because I'm learning, right? I'm learning that this is the age where they just want to be left alone and they just kind of want
space.
to be quiet. And I want to be able to do that. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm
You
still
want your
stuck in that
baby.
mindset where my son used to hug me
I
all the
know.
yes, he
You
used to
want your
hug me all the
baby.
time. He used to hug me so much that I used to be like, okay, you need friends. You need to love on other people as well. But now it's like I'm not
Yeah.
that cool.
Well, do you bring him
Yeah. So
when in pre-COVID, and I get maybe also post-COVID, but do you bring him to events? Like, does he get into the political world with you?
yeah, we did. He campaigned for me. He knocked on over 300 doors,
Wow.
uh, participated in debates with me. But I guarantee you that this wouldn't happen now if he would not
He wouldn't want to.
participate. And he's grown to dislike some aspects of politics. He experienced a lot of, a lot of uncomfortable things for him, like the stuff that I've gone through in my political career so far. And he's just like, yeah, no, I don't want all of that exposure. And also just at the age where it's like, you guys have been talking for like more than an hour now, and it's boring and I don't want to listen
Yeah.
anymore. So yeah.
Yeah.
But he's very supportive. He may seem like he's not paying attention, but he's always paying attention and he always has the right thing to say. And I often get like little cute messages from him where it's like, "You got this, mommy,"
Oh,
or "Trust me, they need you to help them with that," or "They needed you to say
that's
that," or
amazing.
it's very sweet. Yeah, I'm always surprised by it because he absolutely has no interest in politics right now, or he
Oh, but he loves you.
exactly. And he thinks that the work that I'm doing is important. And that's good because that means he understands what I'm doing.
Mm.
Um, and he may not always share with me, but I've heard him talk with his friends and he repeats exactly what I say. So
Well, and
he's
also
observing.
there's a very beautiful photo of you with him, I think from at a Black Lives Matter protest last year that was shared by who shared it?
Michelle Obama. That was
Michelle
crazy.
Obama.
Yeah, no, that was so funny because we were there and there was someone was speaking at that point and she was a francophone woman, so we're francophones and we speak French, so my son and I were able to understand what this woman was saying, but the majority of the crowd wasn't able to understand. And there was a little he was crying the entire time she was
Oh,
talking, and I was trying to calm him down, and then I realized like, oh my god, we're going to end up in pictures. I was like, stop crying, we're going to end up in pictures if you're crying. And he anyways I think those pictures are funny. There's a couple of them that a series of them not well, there's the one that went public and literally has been used on every single platform, like in major platforms in the USA and in Canada. It's funny, and Michelle Obama shared it, which was pretty cool. But there was other ones too that you can see me being a mom being like, okay, I need you to stop crying. I need you to stop crying because
Was it just that what the speaker was saying was so
it was so
powerful?
sad. It
Oh,
was
so
really
sad.
sad. She was sharing her story about her son who killed himself because of the fear of interacting with police. So when the police was called, instead of um, taking the help for mental health wellness check, he decided to jump off the balcony because he'd rather do that than deal with them, and that was just really sad. And just the agony and the pain in her voice and in what she was saying, and understanding that she's just arrived in Canada, like she hasn't been here long enough, and she fled a war like we did,
Wow.
and unfortunately that didn't save her son. So that was really sad. And my son was just so sad. He was just so heartbroken. Um, and he had been in a place where he like we had taken a break from a lot of the things that were happening for him, especially because it's mentally and emotionally taxing. And the questions that he had in his mind were a lot for me to answer and a lot for him to deal with. So we would deal with one question at a time. So I think in that moment, it just all
It
surfaced
was a
back up,
lot.
and it was a lot. It was very 2020 was very draining for a lot of Black people. So yeah.
And I can't imagine. I just, that's it was, yeah. I, I
But
can't,
he was so excited when he saw it on Michelle Obama's
well,
page.
I mean, Michelle Obama, we all like, do we not all want to be her best friend?
I'm telling you,
Like,
one day I'll have her on my page. One day. This
I,
is my
I
fingers crossed
believe you.
right now.
I hope so. That would be incredible. Like Barack, who? It's Michelle. Have you seen
Yeah. No, it's
her Netflix special?
yes. I
Yes.
watched that.
Oh,
I cried
me
just watching
too.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Me
I
too.
cried. There's
Especially,
a part where she said they asked her what was her thoughts around the fact that people would sometimes call her a monkey, or say that she looked like a monkey. And I think this to me was very emotional because I don't think people realize the impact of racism and what it really does to people. And she had never addressed those things. I've never seen her publicly address them. I've never seen her talk about it. But this time she said, it's hurtful. And one of the things that people don't realize is that your heart changes. Like when that happens, the pain that it causes, it changes the shape of your heart, and your heart is never the same. And it made me remember this exercise I used to do in high school when I was doing leadership classes for younger classes. And we would take a paper and just like,
hmm.
you know, crunch it and then try to like make it flat again and make it exactly how it was before. And nobody could, even when they tried with, whatever instruments they could find, it never looked the same. You could still see the lines of how you scrunch the paper. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you hurt people, is that they're never the same.
Hmm.
You could take back what you did, but you can never change the shape, the look, the way their heart was. And when she said that, that's when I bawled my eyes out. So I was like, yeah, that's so true. We forgive, we move on, we keep fighting, we keep pushing, but the shape of our heart has actually changed, and it it has a lifelong impact on who you are.
Yeah. And I'm sure you and I mean, like most people, we can go back far in our lives from being very small and think about all of those moments that have created those crinkles and
Uh-huh.
stay in our hearts. So,
Absolutely.
well, it's really it's hard to hear. I didn't know the background behind that photo. I just saw it as a beautiful photo, but obviously there was much more to it than I could have ever understood. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it's just thank you for telling me that. It makes me, when I see that picture, I will now understand more about it than I first did. Um, so we've talked about so many things that I hadn't been anticipating because we just like let the conversation go, which has been really, really nice. And tell me about making the leap from municipal politics to wanting to run for MP, which I am 100% on. Unfortunately, I can't vote for you. I don't live in Ontario or London, but I am 100% rooting for you in this nomination.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, so I've worked at the federal level before. I've worked at the LRB, which is the Liberal Research Bureau. I've had that experience of, what the federal work really entails of and that policy work. But I want to say that my growth really came when I worked at the municipal level and was a city councilor and really dealing with issues that affect our communities and our city like directly. They're directly impacted by municipal affairs like every single day. Um, One of the reasons why I wanted to run was outside of COVID. Just as a city councilor, a lot of the work that we do, really, we have to do it in partnership with the federal government and the provincial government. In the last, well, at least for me, since I've been elected, I've only been elected since 2018, and that's when we were under the Ford government. And it has been very challenging to work with the provincial government. So I think that every single levels of government should prioritize and should honor the work that the municipal governments do, because we are the ones who are actually carrying the country. We're the ones who are doing like every day to day, like city level, like people level,
Well, yeah,
work,
trash collection, water,
everything,
housing,
planning,
planning.
environmental issues, like things
Mm-hmm.
that we don't even have the budgets to deal with. So when you have a government that comes in and begins to slash all your funding, it becomes really difficult to do the work that you're supposed to do. And in my experience, the federal government really just stepped up. They stepped up. They supported Ontarians. They supported municipalities from, I want to call it, the loophole that the provincial government was creating. And I would often get the opportunity to advocate for funding and advocate for the City of London, champion the City of London. I've been in rooms where, I am there with different hats, but my first hat is always, advocating for the City of London. I believe and I have strong feelings about where our city is going and how strong and how vibrant it's going to be. And so I spent all of my 2020 working with the federal government and advocating for, the issues that are actually big in cities, and we are the ones who experience them like firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, I'm just switching tables. I'm not really quitting. Most people are like, why are you quitting municipal government? I'm not quitting anything. I'm just going to be at the table where the money's at, and
The
we
money
just better
table.
advocate for the city of London.
Yeah.
The money
That's a great
table,
way of putting it. You're changing
um,
tables. You're not quitting. Yeah, because you
yeah,
100% are not quitting.
no, I'm not.
No,
And the
you're doubling
priority,
down, if anything.
exactly. We're really just trying to figure out how to best serve the city of London and going forward from the pandemic. Like if you look at um, the people who, the people who have been greatly affected by the pandemic. It's women, it's Gen Z, it's millennials, it's small businesses. And even when you dig deeper into the small businesses, you realize that it's women businesses that are being affected by the pandemic disproportionately. If you look at women who are out of the workforce, if you look at um, you know, uh, people who are in precarious work, it's immigrants, it's refugees, it's
Mm-hmm.
newcomers, it's indigenous people, it's people of color, it's black people. And we need stronger representation. We need stronger voices. We need more progressive voices. Our climate is changing. And my generation has been advocating for climate action forever now. I can't tell you, I'm 30 now. I've been to so many climate action protests. There was a time, I think like 10 to 12 years ago, there was a time where it felt like, yes, action is about to happen right now, even though we were under the Harper government and like they were really playing with us. They kept switching the environmental minister like every week. And we knew that there was really not going to be any accountability on their part. Canada refused to participate under the Harper government in a climate conference at one point. And it was a lot, but we were like pushing and fighting and it felt like we're about to get through. And 10 years later, I'm still advocating for climate action, right? So it feels like we need to continue to be taking these matters into our own hands. My slogan when I first ran was, I want to be the change that I want to see. I can't sit around and keep waiting for people to eventually do the things that I feel like should be done for my community to be in a better outcome, in a better place. I step up, I step up and I just put my hands in there and get to work. So this is what I'm doing. I'm not leaving people. I'm not dropping, because I have been asked that question where people are like, no, we are losing you. You're not losing me. You're actually getting more of me now. I've had people ask me, how I feel about, as a progressive person, leaving the London politics. We're not leaving London politics. We're actually going to be advocating for London more, and Canadians, all Canadians across the country. And when we have collective policies that really, respond to the needs of all Canadians, then the city of London is also served within that. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, I think that, your election would be, I'll definitely be I'm hopefully going to be celebrating it from Alberta, but I think it goes to the fundamental belief that we need more voices, more diverse voices at the table. And there will be people, if you get elected, in Alberta and BC and Saskatchewan and Manitoba and Nunavut and Halifax and everywhere, and they'll see you and they will say, I can do it too.
Yes.
And we need that.
Yeah.
We need you.
We need you. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, because I saw it happen at the city level, like a couple years ago. The things that we're seeing in our city now, the diversity that we're seeing in our city now, the amount of young people and women and people of color who are involved and are getting involved in different levels and different sectors, but just taking ownership of their livelihood, taking ownership of their communities, and taking their voices back is enormous. And I'm not going to say it's all of my work, because it isn't. I work with communities. I don't work by myself. And every single time I wanted to pass a motion, I made sure that I was working with community organizations. But one of the biggest conversations for the last couple of years I've had with people was always, how do I get involved? Or what is it that makes you feel like this is your space, Arielle, and you're going to get involved and you're going to do it? How do I get to that place to feel that way? And I've had so many people ask me that question. People wanting to feel like they own something. They're part of something. They're part of their community. They're part of something greater than just themselves and their households. And they want to participate. They want to give back to their communities. They want to, it's like creating that circle of community, like a village, right? Like create village, but grow your village to include every single person in your community. And I have had so many conversations with so many people who I'm now seeing in leadership positions. I'm now seeing create opportunities for, their respective communities to thrive, or their association, their neighborhoods to thrive. And it's just so beautiful when we actually realize that, yeah, we can get involved. I can do it too. And I don't have to wait, or this isn't a space of just a specific person. I think my audacity has helped people be audacious as well.
Oh,
And
that's
when
really
I ran,
beautiful.
it was audacity. But I remember people saying, like, who does she think she is? What, like, there was no space for me. There was no one else who looked like me in these spaces. And there was no blueprint for me to follow. There was nothing for me to say, this is what I'm going to follow. I'm just doing try and error, and I'm still here. So that's something to be said, especially in the middle of a pandemic. But I'm still here because of the many people who said, yeah, we see that you're out there on your own and we want to stand with you. And we also believe that we can do the same thing, and we're going to step up and do the same thing, because I wouldn't be able to get it done by myself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Thank you. That's just, you're audacious and you are giving people the audacity to do what you've done. That's really, really, really strong. That's like a very strong message. I think you should put that on your website. Right? Or, Arielle Kayabaga, creating audacity for others. Right?
We should make that a t-shirt.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
We should definitely make that a t-shirt.
There's such power in that. I'm just so excited for your continued journey in politics. And I want to say, we connected through Madam Premier, but like I hope, like, I feel like we've started to build a relationship outside of out of that, and I have learned so many things from you over the last year and plus since we've connected, and you've made me a more thoughtful person in terms of speaking up and advocating on issues. So you also give me some audacity. I don't know if you know that, but it's true. You do.
I have to say, it's been so nice watching you grow into this person, this woman that you're growing into. And I don't think that, you're done growing. I think that you're going to continue to surprise me. But I don't share that with you, but I sometimes sit back and do a mental click, like, oh, okay, I see her. She's elevating, she's growing, and she's expanding. And it takes a lot to do that. And I want to celebrate you for that, because people just see things happen, but they don't understand the mental work that went into that first, and the emotional work that went into that first. And to get to a place where you push the limits and you use that audacity to say, you know what, even if somebody says, who do you think you are? It's who I am,
Yeah.
and I'm going to step up, and I'm going to push the boundaries of my culture, of my upbringing, of my religion, of my, whatever thing, that limitation that you've had in your life. And you're going to push through, and you're going to say, this is who I'm choosing to be, because I know this is better. And I've seen you do that, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm really proud of the work that you're doing. And I'm glad to see you continue to push, even when you had every single reason not to continue to push. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm learning, and I make mistakes, and I'm trying to do better. And I think it's really easy there's definitely moments where I just want to stop, and it feels really hard. And I just have to think about picking myself up again, and thinking about doing better. And it's hard. Yeah. So thank you for saying that. And I appreciate your words. And I want to be an ally. And actually, I did a diversity course with a woman. Her name is Dr. Akilah Kadei in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And she just this week, she put out an article saying, being an ally isn't enough. We need accomplices.
Absolutely.
So moving beyond allyship to being an accomplice. And that is what I am. Hopefully I really try to bring every day is, just challenging and pushing back and not being complicit in upholding, the privilege that I've been given, and being creating a better place for all of us.
Yeah. And I think you're going to be able to do that because you're learning to challenge your limitations, and that's what's needed. So use a little bit of that audacity to continue to do that. And I see that you're surrounding yourself with good people and people who, will challenge you and can help you grow.
Yeah.
So even in my journey as well, I've been challenged a lot, and not all of it is bad, right? There's a lot of bad stuff, but I take it as an opportunity for me to continue to grow, because there's no other growth than when you're standing in some challenges, especially when it comes to, your intellectual property, or just things like that. Like being challenged in your workplace is is tough. Aside from the sexism and the racism that comes with being a Black woman, there are other challenges that I face that are in my professional work, and I learned to grow, and I've learned that, okay, maybe I had that limitation for this reason, and I'm going to get through that limitation. I'm going to get through whatever is making me uncomfortable, and I'm push through, right? But obviously the non-negotiables is when I already know this is because of my race, or this is because of my sex. Those are kind of non-negotiables for me, but there were a lot of moments in my work that I'm challenged because I perhaps had another limitation, or I didn't know, or I wasn't, fully aware. And I embraced that, and I just grow with it, and push through past the uncomfortableness until, and I surround myself with people who are experts in a specific area so that I can grow and expand myself. And it feels so good when you've gone through that hurdle of getting through how uncomfortable you were by a situation, and then you come out of it stronger on the other side. So I think you're on the right path, and continue to accept, the things that challenge you, the things that question the belief system that you've had for a long time, and it helps you, and it grows you, and it creates, you'll be a better parent to your kids, and your kids will be better kids into this world. So
yeah.
As a mom, I always think about that too, where it's like, yeah, I just want to have a better kid than,
Yeah. Well,
I want to be able to give different values, right?
Yeah. And my children are, my husband is originally from Iran. So, raising children, two different cultures. He only came to Canada about 15 years ago. Didn't speak any English. He's faced significant adversity and has really accomplished incredible things. And our children, I want all children to have the same opportunities, to have the same ability to go out into the world and really be themselves. And like your son and my sons and everyone, I want everyone's children to be able to thrive. And I think that the work that you're doing is creating that environment for more people to thrive. So
thank you. That's big, but I'll take half credit for that. But yeah, no, thank you. I think we're all doing our part, and you're doing your part. I'm doing my part. And now we got to fight for these kids to come out of COVID, and fight for, their COVID recovery, and what the future of Canadians is going to look like.
Yeah. Well, and also going back to what you said, like to find your audacity. And I know that you're going to keep finding your audacity because you're also growing and learning, and it's so amazing to see. And I can't wait to one day see you sitting in a full House of Commons, speaking up on the interests of your constituents. So I really want to thank you for being on Elected today, and for a really lovely conversation. I had all of these different discussion points, and we actually didn't get to any of them because it just like was a free flowing conversation and it was really, really enjoyable. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been lovely. I would be more than happy to come back, and love that the women that you've had on so far are just badass women. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, you're a badass. So go out there today, well, from home. No one's really going anywhere, but keep doing whatever, all the things that you're doing, Arielle, with your chia seeds in hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
With my chia seeds and my water
Yes,
with lemon in it. Yeah, I let one day at a time. We're gonna get through this together.
we are. So thank you so much for our conversation today. This was Elected. Thanks for listening today, and of course, a thank you to Arielle Kayabaga for joining me, Sarah Elder Tramanara, in conversation as we discussed women in and around politics. Subscribe to and listen to Elected on the Orca Podcast Network on all major streaming channels. Until next time.